talked about how it's an 18-day grind. How important is that mindset now that you know that it's at least going 6 and that you've prepared yourself for one that's going to go either pretty close to the end or to the ultimate end?
I mean, it's it's the ultimate effort, endeavor, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's long, it's arduous, but it's the greatest opportunity going. It's the greatest opportunity going, and it's really hard, and it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard, and this is where, we're gonna have to dig in and circle the wagons and come back stronger on Monday. This was it's a big disappointment, but there's 3 games left.
Greg, front right.
Rick, I know when you study film, you'll have a bit answer this probably better. But SGA was kind of under wraps in the fourth quarter. He had, I think, 15 by himself. Did you see anything? Was he figuring something out? What did you see from your vantage point?
Well, he got to the free throw line some. I don't think he had gotten to the free throw line at all in the first half. Fouls were an issue. Look, he's a great player. That's the other issue. He's the MVP, and so we had a couple of good stands against him. There was one time he tried to split, a double team, and we came up with the ball. But then I don't remember if we converted or not. So look, we had some terrific opportunities that we did cash in on, in the third quarter, and some late third quarter that we did not. That would have made it tougher on them going into the fourth quarter. But hey, you're up 7 at home. You got to dig in and find a way. And we were just we were unable to do it tonight.
Standing in the back left.
Hey, Coach, Open Court Basketball Germany. How much or how beautiful is that to see when we see the last game? Benedict is the one stepping up today, Obi Toppin, even though it's a loss, but to see that it doesn't matter, like there's always someone who's the next and comes up with the points you need.
Yeah, we're put together really probably unlike any other team in the NBA in terms of our dependence on one another. And, you can look at the stats and, individual guys having big nights is a big part of success. But with us, the thing that works for us is balance. A lot of guys involved, a lot of guys passing it, a spirit that is evident, that is positive, and regardless of whether things are going good or bad. And so, look, Obi did some terrific things tonight. Ben was great last game. Next game we're going to have more guys step forward.
Last question up front.
Rick, Thunder had 3 3-pointers the whole game. They had one, like in the end of third quarter, they only had one. You guys were leading as you had more than 10 points lead, and you lost the game. How much does it hurt? And you, as a champion, as you had in tough situations, you've been in tough situations before. How do you motivate the guys to not let that loss sting for the next 48 hours?
Yeah, we're going to look at the film tomorrow and then travel. They had 38 free throws, and that was a problem. They made 34 out of 38. We had 33 and made 25. They missed 4. We missed 8. The difference of 4 is significant. There's a lot of little things going on, but this series is going to come down to the basics, and our inability to effectively rebound when we needed to is the biggest thing. 43 to 33 and a bunch of second chance points. Made it difficult and in the end impossible. So we got to bounce back. I don't need to motivate these guys. I think they have a sense of where they are. But this kind of a challenge is going to have extreme highs and extreme lows, and this is a low right now, and we're going to have to bounce back from it.
Thank you, Coach. Take questions around the room. Please raise your hand. We'll have the microphone brought to you. Scott on the right side.
Pascal, what did the fourth quarter feel like? You guys missed all of your 3-point attempts. You only got up one shot. What did they do to be disruptive in that fourth?
I mean, I thought we took some shots. I mean, we missed them, like you said. They made shots. They went to the free throw line a lot of times. And yeah, like we just didn't execute at the end of the game. We didn't get easy shots. I mean, and the easy shots that we got, we missed them. So, and they made them.
Next question, second row here.
Zach Kiefer with The Athletic. Pascal, Carlisle said you guys just got stagnant on offense. I'm curious if you would agree with that late in the fourth quarter. You guys have been so good in those moments throughout the postseason. Would you agree that it just kind of got discombobulated at the end?
I mean, I think we didn't execute well. I think, and again, we missed some shots. So obviously that looks away, you know, when you miss shots. So it always looks like, you know, we didn't do what we're supposed to do. But we watched the film and try to get better.
Back right on one.
Pascal, Rick said this was a big disappointment. How do you assess this loss in terms of disappointment?
Yeah, no, obviously we wanted to win. I thought we played well enough for some stretches of the game to put ourselves in a position to win, but yeah, unfortunately it didn't happen. And yeah, like I think every loss at this point is a disappointment.
Back row on the left.
Samantha Horton with WFY Public Media. With the series now tied and a win necessary on the road, I guess can you talk about that mindset the team's going to have to go into to accomplish that?
Yeah, well, we gotta go out there. I mean, we've won some games on the road before, so I think we just gotta go out there with our confidence. Continue to, like I said, we watched what we did wrong and trying to get better at those things. And at the end of it, you know, like we just gotta go out there and again do things that we've done in the past. And so we have that confidence that we can do it. So it's gonna take a lot and it's gonna be hard, but I think, you know, we have the group capable of doing that.
Again on your left.
Pascal, so this is obviously an offense that we see features a lot of different players, and you can come in and out of being featured. This has happened to you in the past, but typically you're still guarded by a really high-level check on the other side. When you see the offense move elsewhere on the floor, what are you looking to do to impact in ways, even if you're not exactly involved in an action?
I mean, I think just continue to move, cut. I think, like I said, our team is unique in the fact that, you know, we can just play, but so yeah, just trying to find ways, teams out there and make plays, rebound, like, and again, like I think it's easy to just look at it, you know, like when we lose a game and we miss some shots, and it's like, you know, so, but it doesn't matter. I think we've done. It's just like rebounding, turnovers. Like there's so many things in the game that we just didn't do right, and it came at the right moment. They made the right plays and they won the game.
Anyone with a final question? Last one in the middle.
You have 4 steals in the first quarter. How do you manage to get those balls so fast, so quick?
Just trying to be active, and again, just we're trying to play team defense, and to me, like I mean, I think I don't know, it might be luck, but just be in the right place at the right time. But so yeah.
Thank you. Tyrese will be in shortly. take first question right here in the front. Fifth seat in the middle.
James Boyd, The Athletic. Ty, in the fourth quarter, only 1 assist, 20 assists through the first 3 quarters. Why do you think it got so stagnant late, and what did they do perhaps differently to affect the game so much?
Yeah, we got to do a better job. I got to do a better job of keeping pace in the game. I thought I did a much better job of that last game, especially down the stretch, keeping pace, getting rebounds, and really pushing. I think we got to do a better job of when we do get stops, getting out and running. A lot of times in that fourth, we were fouling too much, taking the ball out, having to, kind of run something versus, just random basketball. So I got to do a better job there. Watch film, see where I can get better. But yeah, that's on me. I got to get us playing faster down the stretch, and I'll be better game 5.
Tony up front.
Tyrese, you're up 4 with just 3 minutes to go in the finals. Give that one away. How do you feel right now? How does that one sit with you?
It's frustrating, of course. You want to win that game. Especially a game at home where, like you said, you have the lead late. But that's just not how the cookie crumbled today. And so take a shower, watch film, see where we can get better, and be ready to go for game 5. I feel like myself personally, I could be a lot better for us as a group, and we just got to get more stops down the stretch. 17-point fourth quarter, after the offensive success we had all game, I think is really, shows we got to do a better job moving the ball, and I think that starts with me. So, we got to be ready to go game 5. Obviously going into a hostile environment, we got to be ready to play, and for us to win, we're gonna have to win one down there. So, we got to be ready to go, and we got a couple days to sit on this, watch film, see where we can get better, and I'm excited about the challenge.
Jamal Collier from ESPN. The first 3 quarters, you guys, what did you like about the defensive effort that you guys had, especially on Shai? I think he didn't have an assist in the game, and then kind of what do you think also allowed him to get loose late in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I thought we did a great job of mixing things up. Drew obviously did a great job shepping his minutes. Double A, I think we're just trying to make it as tough as we can on him. We got to do a better job of not fouling. I think that's where a lot of our mistakes came. But I thought we did a good job. But he still ends up with 35. He's a tough cover. So we just gotta collectively keep making it hard on him. Keep rebounding and running.
All the way here on the left.
Tim Reynolds, AP. Tyrese, Rick has been saying since the start of the series that it's an 18-day thing, and it's almost like he's been planting the seed that this is going to go for a while. How important is that mindset as it turns out now that it's going to go at least 6?
Yeah, I think as a team, you just got to be ready to respond. Every game is different. You just got to be able to respond when your back's against the wall, and that's where we are right now. So obviously that's a frustrating loss, but as a group, I still have a lot of confidence in ourselves as a group. We got to be ready to go down there and fight for 48 minutes. It's going to be a challenge, but this group has been resilient all year, and I wouldn't want to go to war with any other group. So I'm really excited about Game 5.
Dustin DePierre, Indianapolis Star. You obviously talked about what you feel like you guys could have done better in the fourth quarter, but how did you see them dial it up, especially defensively, and what did you see them kind of make a point to take away?
Yeah, I thought they they went more to that, the 4-guard lineup, that got us stagnant there. But I still think there's a lot of areas for us to get better. Felt like we got some good looks, just missed some good looks. So again, watch film, see where we can get better. Guys will be ready to respond in a couple days.
Anyone else with a final question? Back right. Hold on.
Hey, Tyrese, in the second quarter when you got that and one, you celebrated after making that free throw. How much of that was more a frustration of not getting calls or just getting that call for the free throw?
Yeah, I think we're just, through the course of the game, we just got to continue to, to play and get downhill. I think the paint is our friend. When we're really getting in the paint, everything kind of opens up. So obviously that was my first free throw of the series. So just was, excited about that. And I think as a group, we just got to keep getting downhill. The paint is our friend. We can play from the inside out, the better we are. So like I said, watch the film, see where we can get better, and be ready to go in a couple days.
Thank you, Tyrese. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
All right, let's start right here in the first row on the right.
Hey, Mark. Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. Indy won every quarter but the fourth. That's the first time you've won a fourth quarter all series. What did you feel through the course of the game, and then what changed in the fourth for you guys?
Yeah, I just thought we showed great will in the game. I thought, we really hung in there in the third. I thought that was the key to the game because they really had the wind at their back. We had some deflating plays. It was an easy game to give up on, but we kept it within striking distance, 8-10, and then we're able to close in the fourth. I thought Lou, in particular, just set an unbelievable tone defensively in the fourth quarter. That was kind of contagious, but his energy, and he was just on it and was very impressive. Got great performances from a lot of guys, but I thought he really kind of swung the game with his approach when he went back in the game.
First row on the right.
Mark, down 4 with a few minutes left. Kind of felt like your season was on the line there. What did you see from Shai to get you home?
Yeah, I mean, he's unreal, obviously. Really closed that thing offensively. He and Dub, did a great job there. Just execution-wise, the shot making, he was outstanding. But I just thought the whole team, that was an uphill game against a great team. I mean, this is one of the best teams in the league in the last couple months since All-Star break. And they're a hard team to beat here. They're a hard team to beat, period, obviously. So I just thought we gutted it out on a night where we really didn't have a lot going, especially offensively.
Second row, middle, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Going on what you just said, just how hard it looked like everything was hard, even when you were producing points or even stopping them. Just looked like they were getting better shots. Just looked like the whole night was just hard.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they're a great team. There's again one of the best teams since All-Star break. They've been on an incredible run in these playoffs. They play with unbelievable confidence. They play with unbelievable competitiveness. And I just thought they were super physical on the perimeter again tonight with their pressure and made the game very difficult on us. I thought we were able to tap into that in the fourth quarter, especially on the defensive end.
Second row on the left.
Daniel Belbia. So the last couple minutes of the game, their offense didn't really get much going. What did you see from you guys to kind of take them out of most of their actions down the stretch?
Yeah, really good execution, made them earn everything. Just like competitive will, I just thought we showed great will tonight. Lou, Chet, Caruso was huge, obviously. K-Rich gave us huge minutes. Dub, all those guys on the defensive end especially. I thought we really made them earn everything. Came up with the ball, executed on offense.
Fourth row on the right.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports, back here, Coach. Along the lines on that defensive end, Chet down the stretch, continually in those switches, working on their guards. How confident are you when he draws one of those assignments? And what did you see from him tonight when he held up out there?
Yeah, he held up great. It's, we don't do that a ton with him because he's just so impactful at the rim. But he can really switch. And it's funny, when he was coming out of the draft, that was one of the things that they really recognized with him, is that he's very switchable. He's got great feet. And we just found ourselves behind the ball on a lot of plays tonight, and the switching was able to get that under control late. But we can't do that unless he can do that, and he was outstanding tonight.
Second row all the way to the left.
Yeah, Anthony Snyder with The Athletic. You mentioned in your previous Shai answer that you felt him and Jaylin really executed offensively down the stretch. I mean, he did score 15 in your final 16. Are you talking about, getting the switches you wanted? And I guess how specifically would you say they executed really well?
Just, getting us to good spots, getting us into offense against pressure. And just they just played that two-man game for the majority of the stretch. And Jaylin did a great job of getting us organized there, getting the ball to him, and he obviously delivered big time.
All the way in the back on the left, Candace.
Mark, Candace Buckner, Washington Post. There were a crap ton of free throws throughout the game. Do you think, besides your defense, that also played a little bit of a factor in kind of throwing off the rhythm for a team that depends on pace as much as the Pacers do?
Well, there were a crap ton of fouls. That's why there were a crap ton of free throws. I thought the refs did a good job tonight. Both teams shot a lot of free throws. It was physical. I don't know. I thought, that was what the game was, but it's a physical game, on both ends of the floor for both teams.
Third row here on the right.
Rohan Nakarni, NBC News. You mentioned in the third quarter it felt like they really had the wind at their back. I think at one point they went up 10. You have a very young team. This felt like probably the biggest moment a lot of them had been in. How impressed were you that they kind of didn't let go of the rope in that situation?
I'm always impressed by our team. You know, great poise, great confidence, great connection. The communication on the bench I thought was outstanding. Most of the guys that weren't playing, you know, I thought were like Jay Will, you know, had an unbelievable voice tonight in a lot of those huddles. You know, when you're on the road like that, it's just you. You know, that's your unit. And those guys did a great job staying in it because that was a hard game, you know, and a hard game for us. We just could not get a lot going for a lot of especially the third. And just to hang in there, you know, it kind of showed who we are. I didn't think it was anything different from what we've been, but we definitely showed who we were in that situation.
First row all the way to the left.
Mark, all season long, you guys have prioritized the paint to be kind of recession-proof. What did you see in terms of just the resolve and the game plan commitment that your guys had, even when, you know, shots were going in for them and weren't for you, particularly in the first half?
Yeah, I thought we kind of manufactured that win, you know, with the defense down the stretch, certainly. But, you know, paint defense, second chance points. We're 3 for 17 from 3, you know, but got to the paint ourselves. And like I said, just kind of scraped together enough to win the game. And you got to be able to win games like that. You know, it's not always going to be pretty, especially in the playoffs against a great team on the road.
First row right here, Jenny.
Hey, Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You mentioned Alex in passing, but he scores 20 and hits 7 of 9 shots. I mean, in addition to all the defense, what about his game tonight maybe helped not only, you know, young guys in a tough situation, but just, I mean, the tangibles that he brought tonight?
No, I mean, he's a competitive monster, you know, clearly. And he's proven that time and again over his career, certainly in these playoffs. But he was huge tonight, you know, offensively, even early in the game. But yeah, both ends help on ball. You know, he's just, I can't say enough about him as a competitor.
Ramona, third row.
Mark, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. What's Shai's demeanor like at the end of games like that? I know, especially towards when it was really tight and he went on that 5-point flourish and stuff in the huddles.
Same demeanor as always. I mean, you really wouldn't know whether he's, you know, up 3, down 3, up 30, down 30, you know, eating dinner on a Wednesday. I mean, he's pretty much the same guy. So it's unbelievable. You know, he really didn't have it going. You know, a lot of the night he was laboring. We had a hard time shaking him free. And for him to be able to flip the switch like that and get the rhythm he got is, you know, just speaks to how great of a player he is. And again, it's nothing we don't know, but he definitely showed who he is tonight.
What do you attribute that to? Why is he always just so unflappable?
That's him. You got to ask him. You know, he's just got a great temperament. He's always been like that, you know, as long as he's been here. You know, I mean, we've lost 40-point games, you know, and worse, you know, and he's been the same guy. He's just got an unbelievable command over himself. And I think his poise and his confidence is contagious among the team and has been for the 5 years. And I think Dort, I mentioned Dort, you know, his physicality, his fearlessness, competitiveness, you know, those two guys over the last 5 years, that's what they provided us and that's what they gave us tonight. They were huge.
Right here in the middle.
Joseph Pavone, Clutch Points. Coach, I was going to ask you about, you know, who said anything in the huddle that was significant. You answered it with Jay Will. So I'll pivot to this. For people who haven't been necessarily following this team closely, just speak to what SGA, like you said, the two-man game between SGA and Jaylin Williams and how huge they were and how, you know, what they do in that fourth quarter and late game execution and what you've seen all season long. And to do it on the biggest stage and arguably the biggest games of their careers, how incredible was that hearing?
Yeah, I just thought, you know, we've really slammed the door on games for a lot of the season. We've done a really good job, and in games 1 and 3, we didn't do a great job of it. And yeah, I just thought that was kind of our best rhythm of the night, you know, is the stretch, and those guys had a lot to do with it. And so we got to get better now. You know, like that's a really good team that has really found some solutions against us. So as we go home, you know, we have to evaluate things on both ends of the floor. But in the meantime, that was just like a great blood and guts win.
Second row, Barry. Right behind you.
Yeah, Mark. You went back to the big lineup and didn't get off to a very good start. What made you went back to it twice more in the game? What did you like about it, even when things didn't go well early?
I mean, that lineup has very distinct strengths, you know, and you can draw on it at different times. You know, it was a point to get Hart more minutes tonight. I thought he's been helpful in his minutes. But But in terms of the lineup, I mean, we go into every game trying to figure out the formula to win that game, and that's what we thought was best to win Game 4 tonight.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
What's that?
All right. So I'll put this on. Depending on where your seat is. So, you know, we used to do the polls. We hated the poll. People hated the polls. They don't like it, like, hanging there in front of them or whatever. I find in general, people are willing to be like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I was stuck with they're not going to allow it. That's rare. I don't follow up by free follow. Yeah. That's why, like, so we always call the guy Carlin School of Microphone. You know, he was the professor emeritus. You know, but one of
right, Chet Holmgren's on his way, so if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Jenny, start with you. All right, questions for Chet. We'll start here, the first row on the right.
Hey, Chet, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You guys found yourselves down 7 going into the fourth, and I mean, obviously you can still win at 3-1 down, but just talk us through the fourth, and then also could you also talk a little bit about your the switches that you found yourself on a lot of guards and did a great job in the fourth against those guys.
We just got some big-time players that make big-time plays. I think Shai's shots were huge, and those are loud and obvious, and everybody sees them. But we had guys make plays that were, you could say, invisible, that, you know, led to a lot of good things happening for us. So that's a great team effort right there, great team win, and we gotta keep it going.
First row right here.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. Chet, I want to ask more specifically about switches on Haliburton. Obviously, he's trying to put you on an island there late. What were you thinking in those moments, and sort of what did it take to sort of slow him down?
I mean, I'd just given up 2 drives right before that, so just trying to kind of learn from those and play him better in those instances. You know, I feel like I got a good contest. He was still able to get it off, and, you know, he shoots a high arcing shot, so, like, the whole time it's in the air, you're just, you know, a lot's going through your mind. But, you know, I'm just glad we were able to get those stops and close out the game.
First row all the way to the left.
Chet, I'm sure your whole basketball life, you know, there's been so much focus on your height. Did tonight you feel like your quickness impacted the game, you know, not just the defensive end, but all those putbacks, the second chances, it just seemed like you were first to the ball?
I feel like a little bit of it was just trying to have a intention of making winning plays, and those plays were kind of what it presented themselves. You know, I found myself in situations where I had to try and get stops for us to win the game, and then also, you know, try and, you know, make winning plays for us no matter what they look like. And you know, if the ball bounces the other direction on some of those shots, you know, we're not talking about that. So there's a little bit of that too, but you know, I guess I had a knack for being in the right spot tonight.
Fourth row to the right, Dan.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. When Mark was up here, he credited Lou Dort for setting a defensive tone in the fourth quarter, and he called, I think it was Alex Caruso, a competitive monster. What did you guys get from them and from, you know, their veteran leadership, their tone setting in the fourth?
You know, that's what I was talking about initially up here. We had a lot of guys make winning plays that can kind of be invisible to the untrained eye. It's not showing up necessarily in the stat sheet. You know, it's not like a highlight that's going to be played over and over. It's not one single instance, but, you know, Lou and all the other guys climbing up in the ball, you know, and really playing some hard-nosed defense, you know, not only sets the tone for us and all the other guys guarding, but it also kind of sets the tone for the other team. You know, just making things tough, and that was huge for us tonight.
Second row.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Chet, Shai scored 15 of the last 16 in this one. Aside from his shot making, what stands out about maybe his demeanor or, you know, composure in big moments like this?
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know that, but that's crazy. That's impressive. You know, we've seen it before from him. You know, we know that that's the type of player he is. But you know, it's still impressive. You know, that's very impressive. I'm sure that's going to be a very small category of players that you know, he's going to put himself in or has put himself in with a finish to the game like that. But as much as I am impressed, I'm not surprised.
Third row on the right.
Chet, Rohan Nadkarni, NBC News. To your right, over here. When you guys went down 10 in the third quarter, you know, the arena's getting really loud. Probably the highest pressure situation you guys have faced so far this season. What was going through your mind when you guys were facing that deficit, and how did you feel like you guys were able to weather that storm?
I can't speak for where everybody's mind was at, but I was just kind of thinking about, you know, how to make individual plays that could put us in a better situation, not try to get a home run or make it all happen at once. You know, I feel like we had some instances in the second quarter where, you know, and the intentions were right. Everybody's playing super aggressive. Everybody really wants it, but we were trying to hit some home runs in the second quarter, myself included. And, you know, I feel like in the third quarter and the fourth quarter especially, we really got to what we needed to get to when we got to what we needed to get to when we needed to get to it, and it was good for us.
Last row in the middle.
Chet right here. Jake Nissy from the Daily Mail. Mark mentioned earlier how difficult this game was. You're a team that won 68 games in the regular season. How much can you kind of learn about your team and this group on a night when it's not working that well and when you guys really have to dig deep?
I wouldn't say we learned anything about each other. You know, we've been in tough situations before, and every single time we've come together. That doesn't mean that, you know, we got to win the game that night, you know, when we did see adversity. But no matter what happens, good or bad, pretty or ugly, you know, we're always going to stick together. You know, we're going to win together. We're going to lose together. We're going to have great moments together. We're going to fail together. No matter what happens, we're going to do it together. So I don't really see that changing ever.
All right, thanks, Chet. All right, let's start second row. Plaid.
Asado, the Oklahoman. Alex, Shai was terrific down the stretch in this one. Aside from the shot making, what do you just see from his demeanor and just he seems so stoic, even in big moments like this?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know if it was a preseason game or if it's, you know, game 4 of the NBA Finals down 2-1 with him, and that's, you know, why we have such a good mentality as a group. That's why we are able to find success in adversity, because no matter what's going on, you look at him and he's the same. And underneath that, you know, stoic personality look on the court is a deep-rooted competitiveness, and that is sprinkled throughout the whole team. So, you know, I much more often than not, I've seen him come through, and you know, I've come to expect it, and I'll hype him up and get him to the point, but he never blinks. You know, he doesn't shy away from the moment.
Second row, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Tremmel, Tulsa World. Alex, nothing seemed to come easy to you guys for most of the game. Your defense and Shai sort of lifted you at the end, but early it looked like Jaylin Williams was sort of keeping you in it offensively. What have you seen of him both tonight and and in this series and just down the stretch of the playoffs in terms, he's a great player, but it seems like he's taking on more and more of a role.
Yeah, I mean, our young guys want to be great, man. Like they really do. They want to be great. And, you know, Chet's had games in the playoffs where I think he hasn't played up to his potential in his eyes, and then he comes out and he answers. And I don't think Dub played his best game last game. I don't think he would say that either. And, you know, I kind of just expected him to come out and answer the call. And he did it early, started getting downhill, made a couple shots. But even more than that, you know, but being good on the defensive end, coming up with rebounds late that we needed. You know, there's a reason he's an All-NBA player, an All-Star. I think he's 23, if that's correct. I mean, he's in a phenomenal talent, and you know, these guys to be able to do it without a lot of experience and without being in that moment before, like this is their first NBA Finals, down 2-1 on the road, down 10 at one point in the game, and just answering, throwing punches like that can't get overlooked. Like that's an impressive feat.
First row here on the right.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. AC at 3:52 in the fourth. You guys are down 3. That's sort of your season is then and there. You sort of have to seize it. Then what do you see from that point on? What are you thinking and feeling in that timeout and sort of what's being said?
Yeah, I mean, the way that this place erupts when they go on runs or hit shots, you have to stay present and realize what the actual time and score of the game is. You know, like I think I don't remember the play right before that, but I remember they're a little excited. I think somebody was shooting free throws, right? So we just, when he came to the bench and we were looking at it, and it's like, it's a 1-possession game. You know, even if he makes it, it's a 2-possession game with almost 4 minutes to play. Like there's a lot of possessions left in this game. We never wavered, never thought, you know, oh, we might lose this game. Like we were concentrated on trying to win it, on trying to solve the puzzle, figure out a way to make plays down the stretch to win the game. And that's just been our focus, you know, through the whole playoffs, obviously. But, you know, it started from the whole season. You know, just an extreme belief in each other to make plays and find a way to win.
Back left.
Adeshina Koiki, a lot of sports talk. Alex, congratulations. You've gained a cult hero status to a lot of NBA fans with your style of play, your appearance, your headband. But, you know, these 2 games and going back to your time in Los Angeles, you've been like a superhero playing these big games. I don't know how much you're into the like superhero Marvel DC genre, but is there any superhero that you either kind of identify with, and what makes you play big in these sorts of games?
For the superhero reference, we'll just do Robin, because that seems to be the only one that I can probably, you know, make some similarities to, because I got better players around me that are doing more. But, you know, I want to win. I don't care if it's pick up in September before training camp. I don't care if it's game 45, 50 before All-Star break. If it's game 4 of the finals and you're down 2-1, like I want to win. And that's what I'm focused on. And I think over my career, you know, my abilities have gotten better through some work ethic and through a little bit of confidence and understanding the moment and having success in the moment, but really just fighting through failures. You know, like I don't think I played my best game, excuse me, in game 3. I don't think I was, my mentality and my focus wasn't sharp enough for being in the NBA Finals to my liking. So I wanted to make sure that I came out here and I made sure that I had a concentrated effort to play as hard as I could and to make, you know, as many plays to help the team win. And that just comes down to really just wanting to win, being super competitive. And that's, you know, that's why my career is the way it is. That's why I've had success. That's why I'm still in the NBA. It's why I'm here talking to you right now.
Back row middle.
Yeah, John Hauser from The Athletic. Mark mentioned in the huddles coming down the stretch that Jay Will was a guy who had a voice in those huddles, and I'm just wondering what types of things he's saying and what allows a younger guy who wasn't really playing to have that kind of voice in a team's huddle at this stage.
Yeah, it's been great to see the growth of our team, you know, 1 through 17 through the season. And, you know, for certain guys, it's different. You know, it's you know, maybe being a better defender, maybe it's being more confident in your shot. But Jay Will has a very, very unique ability to be vocal. And, you know, that's a God-given ability, something that comes to him naturally that, you know, I think he's seen, you know, maybe a little bit through me and definitely through Kenrich Williams of, you know, speaking up when there's a time when guys need it, you know, when maybe the energy's bad and we just went on a, you know, a 5-0 or 0-5 run and the other team, you know, forced us to call a timeout. He has a great ability to lead, and I think he's learning that. And you know, as a young player, to have that ability to be vocal and be confident in yourself and confident enough that the guys are going to listen to you. It's a great skill, and it's something that he's been working on, and I don't think he even knows that he's been getting better at it, but he has.
Third row on the right.
Alex, Rohan Nadkarni, NBC News. I believe you had 20 points tonight. When did you realize you were going to maybe need to do a little bit more offensively than you normally do? And, I mean, you were hitting some tough shots and a lot of one-on-one plays. How much confidence do you have in those moments and what you can do offensively?
Yeah, I mean, each series presents a different challenge and presents a different puzzle to be figured out. And the way that Indiana's playing, it's leaving opportunities for, you know, supplemental offense for other guys. And that was part of what I spoke about earlier with Game 3. I don't think I was aggressive enough. You know, I think I made a couple bad reads on the perimeter. I don't think I tested the paint enough. I just didn't feel like I was doing the same amount of work that I did in Game 1 and 2, where I found success and we found success as a team. So just being ready to be a basketball player. You know, a lot of times during my career, it's been guard the best guy, you know, spot up on the wing or set pick and rolls and get to the dunker. And this series and this playoffs really, you know, teams are forcing me to try and score the ball. And that's something that I've been working on for the last 3-4 years of my off season. Been long off seasons, I haven't been in the playoffs. So I've had a lot of time to work and prepare and get to the point to where I knew this was going to be the scout. Take away the best players on their team and make the guys beat you. So just being confident in myself and being confident in the work that I've put in and recognizing opportunities.
Last question, fourth row on the right.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. You were talking about, in the context of Jay Will, you know, learning how to be vocal, how to be comfortable using that. When did that start for you? When did you get to a place where you felt like you could be that voice for the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, I think each level of basketball that I've been at, I've been able to kind of manipulate that and mold that into something else. Like in high school, I was the best player on my team. You know, it was easy. By the time I got to, you know, my senior year of college, I was the best player on my team, one of the best players on my team. So it was natural to be a leadership role. And then we get into professional basketball. It's a different dynamic, right? I've had many years of working on that and seeing older players, better players, Hall of Fame players, coaches be able to communicate with people on a different level depending on who you are, get a message across. And, you know, some of that was credited with, you know, watching those older guys and how they operate and seeing that communication works and communication is necessary for success. And that you can decipher a game through communication, you know, through the margins of the game. So just, you know, it's like I said with Jay Will, it comes a little natural to me. You know, like I want to win. So if it's something that I think is important, I'm going to say it, even if I'm, you know, maybe off track or somebody will correct me. But it's just something over time that I've seen great players do. So I was like, I might as well do it too.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks.
All right, questions for Jay Will. Let's go all the way to the left. Mark.
W, you just seem to be, you know, a massive offensive engine tonight for the team, just given the amount of pressure that they were trying to put on Shai and the way they were trying to bog down your normal rhythm. How much have you learned over the course of the last few years about kind of the mode and the tempo that you need to have there when you've got your opportunities like that?
Just trying to match their physicality and force throughout the game. Just being aggressive. I just try and find my spots and get better each and every game. And tonight was just one of those things. I saw some stuff where I could be a little more aggressive early, and that's what I just try to do. But again, it's just reading what my team does and just trying to play off them a little bit too.
First row, Jenny.
Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, a lot of guys had to play well for this game to be pulled off by you guys. But Alex, offense early, defense late, and with such a young team in a precarious position, I'm curious just what you felt like the biggest role he had tonight was for you guys.
What makes Alex very good is that he's able to figure out what we need and be that. Makes big shots, and then obviously defense speaks for itself, but he's just really smart, so he's kind of like our fill-in. Like, he does a really good job of just seeing what the game needs and then doing it at 100%, which is hard to do since he's like 100. So, yeah, he's just like he's just our glue, on that end of the floor. And then defensively, he's been special, and, he'll continue to be that for sure.
First row right here.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. Jaylin, at 3:52, that timeout, you guys are down 3. That's sort of the part where you either seize the game or the season's probably on the line. Yeah. What do you remember from that timeout, and what sort of unfolded late from your point of view?
Did we have the ball?
That was when Lou fouled Neesmith.
Oh, yeah. What went into that timeout? Honestly, in the timeout, we were just, obviously we had a play that we were going to run, but outside of that, it was just more about trying to stack stops. In 3 minutes, a lot of time. I think there's like 3:52 on the clock at that point in time, so there's still a lot of possessions left and a lot of times where, like you said, like our season's kind of on the line, and them to get easy looks and make them work for everything at the end, and everything up until that point didn't matter, so it was just about trying to score, and then really it was about getting stops.
First row on the left, Tim.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. You guys now are 22-12 in games that you trail by at least 10 points this season, which is the best any team has done like the 30 years. They can look that stat up. Why do you guys why have you been able to have so much success when things go haywire for you at some point in games?
Well, I don't know how fun of a stat that is to be down 10 all the time, but just resolve. The games are like 10 points, and this applies to them as well. Like you see like game 1 when they go on that big run towards the end, 10 is not a ton of points in the like grand scheme of a game. So that's kind of how we try and look at it. And yeah, it's not as many possessions as it may seem. And I think if you start to panic, and like I said, credit to them, they do a good job of not doing it too. But when you start to panic, that's when you start to lose part of the game. So we try and double down on our foundation of defense and offense and just focus on one possession at a time. And wherever the cards fall after that is where they fall. But you don't ever want to, start giving them easy stuff or like falling apart at the seams. You try and lock in defensively as a team and just kind of stack stops together.
Second row, middle, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Jaylin, you had a great year, all-star, third-team All-NBA, all that stuff. But do you feel like, particularly in these finals, you've elevated your game? It looks like you're taking more responsibility and producing. Do you feel like you've elevated your game in these finals?
Yeah, I mean, it forces you to play at a higher pace, a higher performance, and I think my biggest thing is just stepping into the moment, success or fail, and just kind of living with the results. I put a lot of work into my game, so I just go out there and play, and I just don't ever want to play a game and I look back and I wasn't aggressive or I was like afraid to do a move or whatever the case may be. So that's how I look at it. And then just what the earlier part of your question was, just like all the stuff I did in the beginning of the season doesn't matter to me. Like, we're treating this really like a new season, so that's how I look at it.
Third row, Vinny.
Hey, Vince Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. You mentioned it a couple of questions ago that your season was on the line tonight. When you're in the fourth quarter and the momentum hasn't been going your way and you guys have just been fighting through it, what does that say about your team's collective maturity to grind this type of win out?
Just didn't quit. I think we haven't really had to show it a lot this year, just with like the success we had in the regular season, but we've had a lot of like ups and downs during the playoffs, and we've just learned through those experiences, and that's something Mark is really big on us to like. Every game you should be able to learn, and then the next game you should be able to apply something and get better at it, and that's what we're trying to do every time.
Fourth row, last question on the right.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Chet has talked a little bit about feeling like he's gotten sped up at times in this series, like he's had to sort of find his range in the physicality. 15 rebounds tonight, holding up on those switches late. What did you see from him as you tried to put this game away?
Special player. Special players do special things, and he's really good. Especially me and him have always talked about like just coming into the NBA together. It's just always been like find something that you can do to impact the game, and that makes you more of a special player. And we try not to be one-dimensional, and shots fluctuate. Everybody's going to shoot bad, from Steph Curry to me to you name it. Like you're going to have bad shooting nights, but there's so many things that you can do in a basketball game to affect the game, and he understands that. And like I said, the more that we're able to learn from each game and each experience, it makes you a better player, whether you know it or not.
Thanks a lot, Jaylin.
Yep.
We'll have Shai coming up next. All right, let's start here. First row all the way to the right.
Shea Tomer Zarley with Clutch Points. Remember in the third quarter, there was a play where you got the ball at the elbow, took a one-dribble jumper from the free throw line over Nembhard. When they're trying to be as physical and trying to wear you down as much as they are those looks something maybe you guys have to explore more to get you more in your spots, one-dribble pull-up over the smaller defender?
For sure. There's a variety of ways to attack any defense, any coverage. I think the trick is keeping them off balance and sprinkling a good amount of everything in there. Try not to be predictable, especially when you play them 6-7 times in a row. Trying to keep them off balance as best as possible. And I feel like we had a good mixture, a good flow tonight.
Tim McMahon, ESPN, it seemed like every touch was tough for you for the first 3.5 quarters. You get to 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, you guys are trailing, seasons on the line. What opened up? What allowed you to finish the way that you did?
I just tried to be aggressive. Like you said, I knew what it would have looked like if we lost tonight. And I didn't want to go out not swinging. I didn't want to go out not doing everything I could do in my power and my control to try to win the game. The guys deserve that much from me. The coaching staff deserve that much from me. And I just tried to be aggressive, but also just let the game come to me, not try to force anything too crazy. And I guess it paid off.
Back right.
Shai, I was asking Coach Daigneault about just your demeanor out in games, especially when you said you knew what this game meant, how much was on the line here. But he says, you never know based on how you look, your face. You could be having dinner on a Wednesday. What is it about? What is it inside you that your expression never changes, your demeanor doesn't change much even in these moments?
Yeah, I think I just try to get lost in competing, lost in trying to figure out what I can do to help this basketball team win on any given possession. Yeah, that's what I try to get wrapped up in. That's what I try to completely focus on. Now, it's a little bit tough at times, given the situation and what's at stake, but that's what I try to wrap my head around for the most part.
First row.
Hey, sir. Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. You guys hadn't won a fourth quarter until tonight. What have you sort of learned over the course of the series to be able to withstand the quarter? And I guess second part, Cambridge was just saying that as you guys spilled off the court, there was a sense of relief. Did you sort of feel that, and what was behind that?
Yeah, winning any quarter for us looks like us getting stops. That's first and foremost. We do that, we give ourselves a chance to score easier baskets, play faster. But when we don't, it's harder. Just naturally, like it's hard to take the ball out. Their defense gets set and then try to score over set defense. And if you're playing this late in the season, you have a pretty good set defense. So it's going to be hard if you don't get stops. And it came a little late tonight, but we strung together enough to get a W. And then what was your second question? Not so much relief. Personally, I just much rather win than lose. But I still feel like we have so much work to do. We're halfway there, obviously, but it's still so far from the finish line. I'm so focused on the next opportunity and trying to take advantage of that.
First row left.
Shai, you don't get a lot of catch and shoot threes compared to a lot of other NBA players, but you had a massive one there on the right side in that little two-man game with Dub. Just tell me what's gone into your work on even some of the smallest aspects of the game, the things that you might not get a ton of, but that are showing up here, obviously, in crunch time basketball.
Yeah, I think I work on a lot of things. I try to be the most well-rounded basketball player that I can be. And then I just try to, be aggressive and try not to be predictable out there and try to take what the defense gives me. And my work all season, all summer, allows me to be aggressive in those moments and be confident. And that's what that was.
Third row, Vinny.
Shai, Vince Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. Teams down 2-1 have produced some great performances in recent history. Giannis in Milwaukee, Steph a couple of years ago against Boston. When it's 3:52 left, do you sense the game is in the balance? I can make sort of my stamp on this game here, not necessarily in history, but just do you sense the moment?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Winning, especially this time of the season, it comes down to the moments. It's going to come down to late game. Every team is good. It's barely going to be a blowout. And it comes down to the moments and who's willing to make winning plays on both ends of the floor. But yeah, I relish those moments, love the moments, good or bad. When I was a kid shooting on my driveway, I'd count down the clock for those moments, and now I get to live it. So it's a blessing, it's fun, and I relish it.
Fourth row on the left.
Daniel Belbia. So you and Dub went to that two-man game late in the game. Seemed like you guys made the right decisions every single time. Can you just talk about the benefits on getting to that two-man game, getting those mismatches with Dub specifically?
Yeah, we've worked on that over the course of the last couple of years. Both of us can do multiple things with the basketball: shoot, pass, handle. And we try to just play off our instincts and play off each other, be aggressive, make the right basketball play. And if we do so, we usually end up with a pretty good shot because of the players we are. But yeah, we worked on that over the course of time, and it showed up big tonight for sure.
Second row on the left, Anthony.
Yeah, despite the win, Mark was talking about how, the Pacers in some ways have found some solutions, against you guys that you guys need to solve. I'm just curious what you think they are doing well and what you feel like, as this series gets deeper, you guys need to solve.
Yeah, they're winning the small battles. They're winning the physicality. They're winning the aggressiveness battles. They're winning the 50-50 plays. Now we strung together enough tonight in a short amount of time to come out with a W. But if we want to do what we ultimately set our minds out to do, we got to take care of those things and throw the first punch. But yeah, they're definitely, for the most part of tonight, they were winning those battles, and that's why they had control of the game.
Last row on the left.
Adeshina Koiki, a lot of sports talk. Congratulations. Jaylin Williams, when he was talking about Alex Caruso, said that he can become what your team needs in any sort of situation. For the time that Alex, has been teammates with you, how would you describe his adaptability for playing whatever role your team may need and does need to win games, and would you describe it as kind of a super ability?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a winner. To put it all into one word, he does whatever it takes on any given night, whether it's making shots, whether it's deflections, whether it's a steal, whether it's a block, whether it's a rebound. He does whatever it takes every night. I've said this before, but he has a championship ring for a reason. It's no coincidence. He knows what it takes. He put the work in, and he's proving it every night. But yeah, he's a big-time performer, big-time teammate, big-time winner. If you want to win basketball games, you have a guy like that on your team, and we're lucky to have him.
Fourth row on the right, Dan.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Mark, when he was up here, credited Lou Dort with setting an unbelievable tone defensively in the fourth quarter. At the time when you guys are trying to claw back, when everything's kind of getting haywire, what did Lou do to get you guys sort of settled down, but then also put that, frenzy into them on the defensive end of the floor?
Yeah, he was himself. He was pressuring. He was making life difficult for them to get into offense. But he was physical on ball. He was disruptive. He was who he's been all season. I think that's the biggest thing. Like the more and the faster that we can just be who we've been all season in our identity, the better off we'll be. But yeah, he was really good in that situation. He was a catalyst for our comeback for sure.
Last question, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Shai, you had a great closing 3-4 minutes, but early in the game, J-Dub seemed to take a lot of the load. How much does it help and make it easier on you when you got a guy like that even if they're trying to bottle you up, a guy that can produce and sort of carry the offense for a while?
Yeah, he was special tonight. He's been really good the last couple of nights. It's impressive to see his growth and his ability at such a young age on this stage. But yeah, it's what makes us a good team. Like, it's more than just me, way more than just me. He can carry the load. He can be the second fiddle. He can just play defense. He can guard your five. Like, there's so many things he can do on a basketball court. I think that's why he's having the year he's having. But yeah, he was amazing tonight and makes life easier not only for myself but for the rest of the group for sure.
Thank you, Shai.
Absolutely.